Hello everybody, I'm Rick Chambers for Professor.com, and we're lucky enough today to be talking with Jenny McCarthy. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Obviously everybody knows your face, they know that you've been around for a while, but they may not be up to snuff on what you're doing now. Bring us up to date. What are you doing now? What do you have planned for the future?
Well, I'm currently writing my 8th book right now.
Your 8th?
My 8th. I found a niche in the market, if you will, for just kind of telling like it is. Yeah. So I started off with my pregnancy books, went to kind of more mommy me books, and then I went through an autism series, and now I'm kind of going back to my comedic roots. And the current one is called Sinner, and it's about my upbringing in Catholicism and how funny some of the situations were, like church giggles and things like that. And also working on talk shows and producing some game shows right now. So keeping it busy.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of people like about you, is obviously the way you look is attractive, I think, to everybody. But it's that sense of humor that you have. You don't see that all the time in someone that
Well, you know, I think it stems, a lot of comedic people I know say that it stems from their upbringing. They try to make their parents laugh in some way or another, like whether they had a sick mom or something like that. We were really poor growing up. We didn't have much money, and to watch my mom and dad struggle was tough. So I thought if I made them laugh, I can kind of get them through the years until I made some money to help them out.
And what are they thinking now?
They're very pleased with the house that is paid off, that they're now living in. They're very, very proud of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and
rightly so.
It feels good. It feels good to have your parents proud. Yeah. Although I have shamed them quite more times, but now they see that I've done some really good work out here. Yeah. So.
Well, you're so busy, obviously, and you're doing so many different things. How do you balance the career, motherhood? You've got Evan, who's now 9.
That's the number one question I get from moms everywhere is, how do you balance? And the answer I have for them is you don't. There is no such thing. It's always lopsided. So we're either like putting everything we've got into work, and we kind of let go of what's going on at home sometimes, and then it tilts. You know, you're so involved in your home and your family that your work kind of suffers a little bit. And it really, once I've kind of accepted the flip-flopping of it all, I learned to just be in that moment, enjoy that dance of it going up and down and up and down. And all I can say is be guilt-free and do your best, and that's how I get through it.
But you have not only a career and a child, you also are a champion. You're a spokesperson for a cause.
Right.
A child with developmental
disease.
What do you say to other? What tips do you give people? And people must come up to you all the time on the street and say, "Listen, my child has autism. How do you do it?" What tips? What do you tell these people?
I get hit everywhere. I mean, every grocery store, every airplane ride, literally there's a line. Pilots, flight attendants. I haven't been on a flight in 6 years that a flight attendant didn't have a child with autism. There's usually a total of 2 to 3 people max on a plane that come to ask me questions.
Were you shocked by the numbers?
Yeah, I still am, because everywhere I go, someone reaches out to me and says my child has autism. And you know, I sometimes I only have a minute. Right. And in those 1 minute, I direct them towards my organization, generationrescue.org. Okay. I tell them to read some books. I tell them that hope is real. Kids can get better. Just a lot of people don't know that. One of the things that I've witnessed, though, which is really kind of interesting from a kind of a psych point of view, is that I've encountered 2 types of parents, moms, which are moms that are these warrior moms, which I've named for in a book, and I continue to call them warrior moms. And then there's moms who fall sadly in this victim role, which I found fascinating. I toured the country for about 3 years and spoke to about 350,000 moms face to face, 8 hours a day, and listened to them. And I was really able to divide them into 2 groups. And you see these moms that go, "What can I do? Where do I go? Let me get started." Yeah. And then you have the moms that are going, "Well, I just don't know if I should try anything." And it's just, I just scared to just, what if nothing works? And I used to get so frustrated by the moms that fell in that victim role. I wanted to smack them and go, "What? This is your kid talking about."
Were you always a warrior mom from the start?
Always.
Really?
Day 1, the diagnosis, I cried for an hour, and then I ran into my office and Googled the word autism, and boom, I was on.
Was there somebody out there that was your role before you came along?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't anybody. When I Googled the word autism, up in the corner it says, "Autism kids can recover, they can get better." And I thought they were selling me something. I thought, what a load up. So I clicked on it anyways, because the doctor said, well, there's not really that much you can do. So, get into some therapies and that's about it. But a lot of kids will have to be institutionalized. And I just heard that word and thought institution. Their idea of institution is way different than mine. Mine's Harvard, So I went online and I found a group of parents and doctors that were trying things like diet and detox, and started doing that. I started literally changing his diet and saw that by healing his mind, it was like a gut and brain connection, make the mind clearer, he was then able to go into some therapies that then I started him on, which are more traditional, called ABA, right. Applied Behavior Analysis. And this type of therapy, ABA, is the most common in the country, helping kids recover, but it's not, it needs to be known more than it is. Right now, you have therapists that come in your home, mm-hmm. And really, I think children who have autism deserve 30 to 40 hours a week. A lot of times, the state will only allow 8 hours, so they're clearly not getting enough. A lot of the times, parents have to spend out of pocket. Right now, we just did our estimated spending mm-hmm. per year per family with autism is $80,000 per year spent on autism.
Per child?
Per child with autism,
wow.
Yes. And a lot of the children we have, parents we have over at Generation Rescue, we have a grant program, and I said I want to help fund families who need ABA, who need speech, who need doctor visits, and let's go. And anyone that's under $50,000 is eligible. Well, it turns out that everyone that we're helping is making under $24,000 a year.
Well, that was a question I had for you. Yeah, you're Jenny McCarthy. You're a celebrity, you're a star. You can afford to do these things, or you have the contacts you can make. What about the people that are out there in Idaho or they're in Missouri and they're watching this and they're thinking, well, that's great, she can do that, but I can't do that.
Well, I still had it hard in the beginning because I was going through divorce. I have to this day get 0 child support and had to do everything on my own and do really bad jobs to pay for these therapies. But I did have that access to do those really cheesy jobs. I tell them, you have to just take matters in your own hands. Whether that is starting things you can do right now, like diet, changing the food, giving vitamins, but then also, reading up on things that are going on in your home that the therapists are doing. When Evan's therapist would come over to the home, I would try to watch or spy on them with my spy cameras as to how they were teaching my son. And then I would kind of utilize these therapies that made sense to me. For instance, a lot of it had to do with rewarding good behavior. So, and this goes, this is for parents, by the way, who not only have a child like on the spectrum, but off the spectrum. If your child has a typical child, you have to understand they all have behaviors. Sure. And the ABA therapy really taught me that, rewarding that good behavior teaches a child how to behave, when you're constantly scolding the negative, how are they ever going to learn the positive? It's the same thing for me. I get better when my boyfriend tells me how pretty I am.
Well, let's pick up from there that you're talking about basically being proactive with
Correct.
A lot of things.
Yes.
Evan's 9.
He's 9 years old now.
Started going to school 5 or 6?
He's been homeschooled, yes, but he's been in starting school when everybody else has, kindergarten age, 5,
All right,
6.
so other moms out there and single dads maybe that are out there trying to do the same type of thing. What do you talk to them about? How do you get them into the right school? How do you get them the right services they need when they get that school? How do you develop that approach, that proactive approach to doing this?
First thing you have to do is motivate them and see which side they're on. Are they on the warrior or are they on the victim? When they're on the victim, there's only so much I can do. So I have to wait for them to come around, and I'm going to help these parents that are going, I'm ready.
But how do you light a fire under the person who's not the warrior?
It's really hard. It's like, those parents that have children that go, my child's just not motivated. They eventually are going to have to do work on themselves. So give them spiritual books on letting go of that victim role. You have to understand something with that victim role. Mm-hmm. And I'll explain a little bit more because people watching this go, oh, I have friends like this. Mm-hmm. When something happens to them, whether a father gets cancer or a child gets sick, what winds up happening in the community is everybody comes over and does this. Martha.
Yeah. The sympathy.
Martha, let's make you dinner. All of a sudden this community comes over and they're getting so much love and so much attention that's a really hard thing to let go of if you're not in the right space. Right. So that's why that person has to do some work on themselves to get out of that and going, no, I don't need that sympathy. I'm going to go warrior it.
You want to grab them by the collar sometimes?
So so the victims, I give like self-help books.
Okay.
The warriors, I go, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to get online and try to find a rescue angel. We've got them at Generation Rescues in your area. And those are people, moms that are helping other moms. Yeah. My bird is tweeting if you're wondering what that noise
we can
is.
hear it
I'll make
background.
it relevant in the story. So then we tell them, go and let's find a regional centers here in Los Angeles, and that is provided by the state to help fund treatment. So we will go and find theirs. Then we will help them make the calls, make appointments, and get them started.
Yeah. You mentioned ABA before.
Yes.
How did you stumble onto this, or did you stumble? How did you find it?
ABA I first stumbled upon it when I had a friend say, you need to sign up with the regional center, which is the state-run program, and get therapists over immediately. And the idea of people coming in my home every day, all day, was kind of like, God, I don't like even my sister here. Why would I want a stranger? But when your kid is sick, you don't care. So when I learned that how important ABA was, and I saw progress being made in other families, I thought to myself, get them here as much as possible.
And how quickly do you see the problem? I mean, is this something that happens overnight, or people got to be patient?
It depends on the child.
Okay.
It really does, of how far along they are in development. It's high functioning, low functioning. It's obvious which one's going to take a little bit more time.
Pardon my ignorance, where does Evan fall in that category?
I think Evan, when Evan was first initially diagnosed by UCLA, he was considered kind of high up there, meaning he was low functioning.
So severe.
Yeah, I mean, in this interim that I brought him in, he had just suffered some major seizures, one that went into cardiac arrest, one that went into coma. And so I think there was a lot of there was a lot of damage done, and it showed quickly after that. But and that's when he got his initial diagnosis. Right. But then when we started implementing programs, for instance, like ABA, and changing his diet and doing vitamins, we noticed like that. And he immediately turned into, almost high functioning within a matter of months. And then after the course of about a year and a half, 2 years, we were able to stop ABA and just do typical kind of parenting techniques, where we still, though, utilize the ABA format, which is reward that good behavior.
Now, I take it your confidence level suddenly shoots up right along with his when you're noticing improvements right in front of your face.
Forget it. The first thing that happened was we were watching SpongeBob, and usually he just watched the, colors go by, and then one day he laughed. He laughed at an abstract joke, and I knew that we were getting somewhere.
That was big.
That was big.
Yeah. Are there little improvements like that you just see and suddenly changes your whole feel?
Every day, every week, every month, there's something different, a different conversation with Evan. The fact that he wants to date chicks so bad right now.
Yeah.
I just picked him up in a play group, and I'm like, Evan, come on, let's go. And he was sitting there with 6 girls with his arms around them. He's 9, going, I've got 6 girlfriends in this play group. And the girls are like, we love him. And he goes, they love my muscles. I'm like, this kid's doing just fine.
He knows, yeah. Mm-hmm. Professional women, celebrities like yourself, the average person out there somewhere in the Midwest, everybody's got a different career, a different lifestyle, but obviously you've got things in common with all of these people. What do you talk to them about getting some sort of balance in their life? I mean, they can't completely focus on the child 24 hours a day. You've got to be able to have some time to yourself. Where does that fall?
It's really hard in the beginning when you have a child with any type of an issue, because, we do have, it's like a, I don't know how to explain it. It's a mother's thing where you just your instinct is to just save your baby. Sure. So a lot of the moms just fall apart, or health goes.
Well, that's understandable.
Oh, yeah. And, I kept, when I give speeches to parents, I kept hearing that same thing that the flight attendant says, which is put the mask over yourself first and then put it over your child. And it's very important that you try to do that. You know, I always say to parents, fine, go in and give it all to your kids the first 6 months, year, but then you better stop and put that mask on yourself. Because one of the biggest things that I hear from parents, mothers who have children with autism, which is, this is the sad quote, I can't die. I can't die because who's going to take care of my kid? What is a child going to do? A lot of parents, sadly, get pregnant again. So they have a child.
Brother or sister?
That will take care because they don't know what else to do.
How much weight is that on your shoulders when you think that you can't live your life? You can't even die.
You can't even die. It's horrific. I mean, drinking in our community is up. There's a huge majority of the parents who have children with autism, moms that are alcoholics. And if you literally walked in the shoes of a mom who had a really low functioning child, they are screaming on the top of their lungs. They're head banging their head on the ground. Not to be so gross, but this is very descriptive, smearing poo on the wall. I mean, they're breaking. It is a horrific experience to listen to a child who has low functioning autism all day in the house, and then they don't sleep.
Were there times when you didn't think you'd be able to do it?
Yeah, there was a time when Evan was so bad. When he was first initially diagnosed and he was having seizure after seizure, and he lost it. Like, he lost the ability to recognize who I was anymore.
It's got to break your heart.
Oh, he was screaming for me while I was holding him, but he was punching me because he couldn't recognize me. And he wouldn't sleep. He was up all night long and delirious. And it was awful that I wondered at one point, is he better off in heaven? Because no one could live like this. This boy is suffering. I mean, he was bad.
How does that compare to where you are now?
It's
night and day.
It is night and day. I have a miracle, but we did put in the work. It doesn't just happen.
So for other people out there around the world, for that matter, that are going through what you were going through back in those days, there's hope. I mean, there's a light.
You have to. And this is the thing about it, is that not everything works on every child. And I look at it like, I almost looked at it like a restaurant menu of therapies. And I tried this appetizer, didn't work. Throw that one away. Go to the next one. Throw that away. This didn't work. This worked. Okay. This didn't. What happens with a lot of parents is, oh, this one didn't work. Sorry, it's not working for my child. And it kind of breaks my heart because a lot of times you'll hear parents go, oh, you know what? I don't know why you're promoting certain therapies, like, all of them that we have, because it didn't work on my child. And I say, you know what? Chemotherapy doesn't work on every person. Are you going to go to the next person and say, don't do chemo? You have to at least try everything for the sake of the child.
Yeah. You're a single mom.
Yes.
There's a lot of single moms, and I don't want to leave out the single dads, because
Yes.
I'm guessing there are single dads out there dealing with the same thing. And they're probably thinking, I just don't have time for myself. I don't have time to go out and meet somebody new. Is that a problem for you as well? Probably not.
Yeah, it is.
Seriously.
Oh yeah, I mean, single mom, like in the beginning, I never went out. I lived in sweatpants. I had like roots up to here. I'm like, I'm never gonna meet anyone. I'm gross. I didn't want anything to do with anybody because I was so focused on my baby.
Well, is it hard to bring somebody else into your equation?
Yes. I mean, I have a 6-month rule. Like I have to like you enough to bring you around to meet Evan.
Yeah.
But, it's no one can really understand being a single mom who has a child with autism unless you're in it. So you're also scared of what perceptions, you'll bring into the situation when they don't understand. So you have to school someone that you're dating.
Well, but it's tough enough that if you're a single mom with a child and you're trying to meet a guy who's going to accept the child, first off, and then to bring autism into the equation has got to be...
Forget it. Very scary. You feel like, there's moments where I thought, well, let me just find the worst guy I can find, because then he won't mind. I swear that's what was my thinking.
It's a weird way to think it. Yeah.
It is. It's like, well, then he won't mind my luggage, because guys are fearful anyways of luggage, and then you throw any type of disability in the mix, and it must seem very scary.
And I don't just want to dwell just on autism, because everybody out there has some sort of adversity in their life.
Let me tell you, 1 in 5 children right now have a mental diagnosis, and that is a fact out there right now. And I think, God, it's going to be scary when it's 1 in 3.
And everybody, like I said, everybody's going through adversity in some form in their family. How do you maintain the positive outlook just on life in general?
I buy a lot of birds.
I can hear you.
My positive outlook is, I think it's something that just comes from within. I read a lot of books. I consider myself to be really spiritual. I always think, tomorrow's a new day, something better will come along, everything happens for the greatest reason possible. I mean, those are things I constantly tell myself. Yeah. So when I get bad news, I go, wow, I can't wait to find out why this is good news, and force myself into that thinking. And boy, it makes life a lot easier.
You stay positive because Evan needs you to be positive?
No, because I need to. I mean, I need to do it for me, all unto itself, and then Evan benefits from it.
And you think that's a great way for others to handle it as well?
Yes. If I was doing it for Evan, I'd be faking it, because I couldn't be doing it for real. It's all for myself, and then my son will benefit. If I'm supposed to be a good role model, then I have to walk the walk.
You've been a model, you've been the celebrity, you've been on the magazines and all of this type of stuff. And everybody, when you say Jenny McCarthy, everybody thinks, oh, she's beautiful and this and that. How do you maintain this? Seriously, how do you maintain this and do everything else that you're doing?
I've got a really good hairstylist. My sister's my makeup artist and lives with me, so that helps. But also, I follow the same health regimen as Evan. He's on a lot of vitamins. I am also. I literally, people say, oh, you saved Evan. Oh, no. He saved me. He taught me how to live a better life and healthier life, yeah. So we do regular checkups. I have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber in my house, which might seem Michael Jackson crazy, but I don't care. The benefits, if people research them, are amazing. Infrared sauna, we get IVs, we do a lot of things.
But you're consciously focused on improving your health. I mean, this is a way of life for you. Day in and day out.
I want to live my life long, but I also want to live it feeling great. I watch so many people get after age 50 and start complaining of aches and pains and they can't work out anymore, and then they drive those quitter scooters. And I'm going, it's not how I plan on living my life.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Wasn't it?
And talking to you. Time flew by.
Go Salukis.
Yeah.
We went to the same
we're
college.
Both from Southern Illinois.
We could both chug some beer, I bet.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
For ProfessorEd.com, I'm Rick Chambers. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Now you don't get back to Chicago.